We are in the beautiful state of Rhode Island. It is a windy day. I have a prediction it's going to be raining on and off, but we are still going to enjoy this day together. I am feeling much more better. I slept in, I took my time to get ready today, and I don't feel as exhausted as I did in Boston. Y'all, this is someone's estate. It's private property, so I can't get on it, but look how beautiful the outside is. It's even got one of those fancy things where you gotta put in the dial or speak in to say, hey, I'm coming into the estate. I'm so shook right now because the only time I've ever seen that is in movies. We are in Newport and we are visiting some of the famous mansions that are known here. We're gonna start off with the Breakers. I saw some pictures online and they were beautiful, but we're gonna go see it in real life. I cannot believe this place is even real. I don't know why, but the architecture and the feeling of this era is reminding me of the Phantom of the Opera. If anyone has ever seen that, the Opera House is beautiful, giving me off this same architecture vibe. I could be wrong, but that's what I kept thinking about. I considered myself a very detailed kind of individual, so seeing all of the detail in that house just made me excited. I know that's weird, but I just could not believe it. And on the tour, it said it took 2 years to build this house. With all of that detail, they would have had to put in so much overtime to get this done. I thought it took them 50 years to get all of that done, but 2 years? Unbelievable. I also kept thinking about what it would have been like to be a woman during the Gilded Age. It's so different from now, and they cared so much about appearance. And I mean, to this day, we still kind of care about appearance. We're only able to see 2 houses today. One is closed because it's only available on the weekends, and then the other 3, I was talking to a woman who worked here, and she explained to me that an HBO Max show is filming in the other 3 houses. It's called The Gilded Age. It just started in 2022, and I think they only have season 1 out. I was looking it up, but it's basically about the Gilded Age and what it was like. So what better way to do that than to use these mansions, because they were built during that time. I thought that was kind of cool. So we aren't able to go to the other houses, which is okay, because actually the other one that we're going to was the main one that I really wanted to see, because I don't know, it just attracted to me more. But the Breakers was stunning. Let's go to the next one. Now, I am unsure how long filming is going to be going here for the Gilded Age show. So if you're preparing to come to the mansions, make sure to call or do your research in advance to see which ones are available. Also, I wanted to apologize for the weather. It is extremely windy. Do you guys hear that creepy music? This gives such the vibe for the mansion. I love that. Thank you. Anyway, like I was saying, it was storming when I first got here, but it's finally settled down so that we can explore the houses. But unfortunately, the wind was so strong that my other idea that I was gonna do today got canceled. We're gonna think on our feet and see something else in Providence. I was talking to a woman who works here, and she explained to me that if you got a multiple house ticket, that you can come any time of the year or even years to see the different mansions. So for example, I could see one mansion today, and then I could come back during Christmas time next year or 20 years and then use my other options to get into the other mansions, which I've never heard from a museum for. It's always, you have to use it the same day or the same week, but they don't care when you come. It's still available. I had to share that because I've never heard that from a museum before, and I think that's just fantastic. We are at the next mansion. It is called Rosecliff. As soon as I saw this, I knew I had to go in. That tour was so fascinating. I got to ask one of the women who worked there if I started to think, okay, so here's what I should explain first. I was starting to think about the show Bridgerton. I've never seen it, but I've seen trailers of it. I've seen people talk about it, and I was curious if it was during the same time period as these houses. And the woman explained to me, firstly, it's in England, which I forgot about. But secondly, it was a little bit earlier than the Gilded Ages. It was in between the years of 1840, whereas the Gilded Ages started a little bit later. And once again, it is raining. So much rain on this trip. Isn't that great? Here's my final decision. I think I'm just gonna stay in Newport because with the directions I'm going next, it just seems like it would make more sense to come from Newport, and I don't want to be going all the back and forth. I actually didn't know this, but I was under the impression that Newport and Providence were closer together, like 20 minutes, when actually they're almost an hour. These kind of things happen and you have to recognize that. Make sure you have a backup plan, or if maybe you're like me, you can think on your feet and do something else and just do quick research. It's completely up to you and what you want, but just be under the impression that sometimes, depending on weather, things don't work out and plans get canceled, and then you have to think on your feet. Right behind me are these beautiful boats, and from what I understand, you can take boat tours out onto sea. Now clearly we can't do that today because it's raining and it's windy, but in better weather, this is a really great idea to do when you're around here looking around the shops. I'm also noticing that Rhode Island is a huge sea town, and I keep seeing on their plates that it's known as the Ocean State, and I can kind of see that depending on where you are, especially since we're down in Newport, we are closer to the ocean, whereas I'm not so sure if Providence is that same vibe. I just got a black dog, and for some reason I got the same vibes of Vineyard Vines, and wearing crap, what are those shoes called? The ones that everyone wore. Hold on, I need to look it up real quick and I'll come right back. That was embarrassing. I was thinking of Sperry's. Everyone was obsessed with them in middle school, and at my old private school what people would do is they would wear Sperry's and they would do the uniform and then wear high socks with it, and that was like the thing to do back then, to get Sperry's. But I was never a part of that life. I'm really surprised I even remember that part of my life, because I really don't remember private school very well. Like, some of my really close friends will come to me and ask me about private school, and I'll just be like, what? We are about to go through Queen Anne Square. This is one of the earliest settlements in Rhode Island, and also the church that we're going to see is also the earliest of a church congregation in the state. Rhode Island is so quaint, and you know what I've been noticing else in, wait, was it also in Portland? I can't remember if I also experienced this in Maine or not, but especially in Salem, Boston, and Rhode Island, they still have cobblestone on the streets, and it's wrecking my feet. I guess it's still from the early days, most likely. So I don't know how people did it back then, especially women with those fancy heels. I could not survive. I would trip over and die if I lived back then. I know I would. I do not have good footing now, so imagine back then in a big ball gown, trying to beep bop around here with fancy shoes and then all of a sudden trip over a little curb. Done. Rest in peace. The more I'm thinking and the wheels are turning in my head, I'm noticing that the last 3 states have exquisite houses and the architecture is phenomenal. And I don't know if that's because of the history or something that I'm missing, but it definitely adds more uniqueness to each state. And I'm also noticing that there is way more history, especially in Massachusetts. Especially, that's where I feel like the heart of American history is in some ways, other than maybe New York or Virginia. Those states are the ones that I typically think of. Since Maine though, other than Salem, I've noticed that Rhode Island is probably the most fall vibes I've gotten so far. Salem is known to be spooky and creepy, and in October it's more prominent because, well, it's fall time, no duh. If we exclude that, I feel like Rhode Island has taken the deal so far. There are so many cute shops here. I'm really impressed. I like it a lot. It's adorable. You can tell that this is also a sea town. Kind of give me the same vibes as Maine and Massachusetts. We are wrapping it up tonight. To treat myself, I am going to this genuine Italian restaurant. So genuine that I had a hard time reading the menu. And I'm super pumped because my love language is pasta. Just letting y'all know. Something that I forgot to mention, if you want to park at the Bowen's Wharf, that's fine, but you do have to pay. And it costs $4 every half hour. Yeah, I know. I'm actually noticing that in Rhode Island, you have to pay a lot just to do parking. I went past a grocery outlet where there were little shops, and for public parking, you had to pay. I know that I'm starting to get tired because I prefer to take takeout because I just don't want to spend time and at a specific place anymore. I'm getting beat. I know I am. So we're gonna take this along to my Airbnb, but before I go, I promise that I will take a little bite for you so that you know what it's like. Look how beautiful she is. Oh my gosh. I do not have a fork, so we're just gonna pick at it. Choose a few noodles here. Hold on a second, let me choose a few. Let's go. I just entered into pasta heaven. That was amazing, wow. And with that, I'm heading out to my next location. Don't forget to check out my other states, and I will see you soon on the tube, friends.